Look, plastics are a big problem in this country. Polluting our landscapes and poisoning our bodies. So we asked a few Ghanaians. I mean, before we even get into the documentary, we asked a few Ghanaians if plastic bottles were banned, what alternatives could we use? Let's listen to a few of their answers.
I would suggest that the policymakers and other duty bearers should take drastic measures by, first of all, banning the use of plastic bags. Now, this is evident in some African countries, particularly in Rwanda, where the use of plastic bags has been phased out and replaced with paper bags. We can also do the same in our country, Ghana. And also, with the use of plastic bottles, I am of the opinion that the government of Ghana should ban the use of non-recyclable plastics.
The menace of plastics in our country currently is something we need to work on. And an alternative to that is paper. Because paper can be recycled. Of course, plastic can be recycled, but we don't have the facility throughout the country. But paper, yes, at least we can find is a better and renewable source of products we can use when it comes to packaging and a whole lot.
So if there should be a ban, there should be specific with the ban that should be like the single-use plastics, not all plastics.
I feel as an alternative, we can go in for paper bag, just as Rwanda has adopted. And I think it's working for them. So why not adopt that as an alternative?
What I think can be done is, in one instance, government can first of all come out to say, okay, this is a policy, this is a law we are bringing out. Plastic producing companies, if you're able to cut your production of the plastics by 40% in your first 2 years, I'm going to give you 40% cuts in your taxes or your profit. So you make a profit of 100, government says 40 of that won't be taxed, we'll tax the 60 to encourage plastic producers to look for alternatives to combat the plastics pollution in the system. Back in the days when our parents used to send us to get stuff from a town and whatnot, when you're stepping out, you go out with a basket, a bowl, and a neatly washed napkin. Then you step out, you buy whatever you buy, and you come back. No plastic waste was generated. You just go, and that was it. We used to walk around with our water bottles, we used to call it water bottles. Everybody had their water bottle. You just needed to fill it up. All these things are ways in which we can phase out the use of plastics that is causing a lot of problems in this country.
Yeah, well, that's what some of you think. Mm-hmm. But the problem is interesting. First of all, there are alternatives, are there not?
There are.
I remember going to buy cocoa, sometime back when you are sent to go and buy cocoa, they add you pick a flask or something from home. Mm-hmm. You never went empty-handed.
Yeah, it's true. Now, I was telling you about this story that was shared with me yesterday, where in Germany a coffee shop says no more what they call it, plastic cups or whichever cup, bring your own. And to illustrate the point, they have a section of the floor in the coffee shop where they have just put down all the many cups people have consumed within a year to show you that that's the massive devastation we are doing to the environment. So if you don't bring your own cup, they are not serving you. And they are, and of course, they got massive publicity for it. The German government says now to support that particular coffee shop. Oh. So if they lose customers, they'll make up for it. Oh. With the idea that if you get more of the coffee shops following, we'll get some of the action being done. Now, could you give me a few minutes? Let me just run through what's been happening across the world so people know it's not only in our case that we need to do something about it. In Canada, in 2021, the government drafted a single-use plastics prohibition regulation. And I'm proposing that we as a country can just pick up this law, fine-tune it, and use it for Ghana. Now, the aim of these regulations will be to prohibit the manufacture, import, and sale of 6 categories of single-use plastics, including checkout bags, cutlery, and ring carriers. The implementation of these measures, of course, will soon be put in place. In China, since 2021, they banned single-use plastics and utensils from major cities, and single-use straws were banned nationwide. So they selected the other ones for major cities, and they did it nationwide. In Chile, earlier last year, Chile started phasing out single-use plastic at restaurants and food delivery services. These changes will take full effect by 2024, so they are graduating it. That's what they are doing in Chile, and are projected to reduce by more than 23,000 tons of plastic annually.
That's a lot.
Yes. Egypt has launched several, of course, I'm saying you say these are foreign countries, not African countries, but Egypt has launched several social enterprises to tackle plastic pollution. Ballastic delivers workshops, training, and beach cleanups and various environmental events as a way of offering alternatives to single-use plastics. So far, they have collected over 2,000 kilograms of plastic waste, and Egypt's Minister for Environment announced a partnership which is to see that they will do it across the entire country, and this will lead to eventual ban of single-use plastic. Yes, there's also a very nice story you should know about India, right? India started in July 2022. They banned the production and use of single-use plastics. Through the northwestern states, India is now promoting bamboo-based alternatives to plastic in an effort to provide economic opportunities to local and indigenous communities in different regions. There's another interesting thing happening in Indonesia. There's a presidential decree as far back as 2018 which created a plan to reduce marine plastic debris by 2025. And of course, the ministry has actually they've rolled out what's called a roadmap to reduce unrecycled plastic waste by 30%. Japan is also implementing what calls a plastic recycling strategy for just single-use plastics, and this is being carried out across the country. Kenya has a very interesting startup that's doing a lot of work in the area of promoting alternatives to single-use plastic here. And Mexico City launched what is called the initiative focusing on reducing waste through the promotion of social, cultural elements, which engages in waste separation. Then the separated waste, you get stars for it. Then you get food stamps for it. Then you eventually get money for it. That's what's happening in Mexico. Namibia also has a ban on single-use plastics in most of their protected areas, including their places that they recently have called environmental investment fund areas. Yes, there are similar things happening in Netherlands, in Norway, and also in Portugal. Russia has plans to ban the use of disposable plastics, and it's next year that's supposed to take effect. And currently, producers are required to pay for 10% of the environmental cost which is associated with plastics. So the producers are the ones who are going to pay for it anyway. And Spain has instituted a fee for single-use plastic. So whatever you buy, if it has anything connected to single-use plastic, you get a 30% increase in that particular product. So countries specifically targeting policy, some of them very soft, some of them very hard policies, geared just largely at making sure. And you see, I like the way they isolate, for example, single use, and some of them specifically select products that they want to target to.
And single-use plastics are those plastics that we're likely to use once, and those are the plastics that end up in the sea.
Yeah, because I mean, that's the thing. Plastic by its nature does not degrade for hundreds and hundreds of years. So when you throw it somewhere, it will basically be there for hundreds of years. So, doing things like landfill and so forth with it, it's just pointless. It will just be there. All right, people end up throwing it in the sea thinking they've got rid of it, but no, it comes back to us. It dirties our shores. The fish eat it. We eat the fish. It's terrible. Now, our guests are Professor Kofi Nyarko. He's a country lead for One Ocean Hub. It's a research project on plastic waste management. We also have Richmond Kennedy Quarcoo, who is the director of Plastic Punch. He's also a member of the Institute for Environment and Sanitation Studies Management Committee at the University of Ghana. Also, Emmanuel Quist, head of corporate communications for Blochem Industries Limited. It's a major plastic producing company here in Ghana. Gentlemen, good morning to you all.
Hi, good morning.
All right. Now, I want to start. I want to start with you, Professor Kofi Nyarko. Look, I mean, the size of the problem is quite well illustrated in this documentary. Yeah. But as Ghanaians, are we yet to understand the effect of our use and abuse of plastic on our well-being?
Thank you very much, Mr. Jansen, and the team. Well, as a country, I think a lot of education has gone on. But the health effect and its effect on our lives is properly not understood. That we need a lot to be done to let people understand the effect of the use of plastics on our day-to-day activities and our health or on our lives. Yeah.
Okay, so what accounts for this lack of information, this lack of knowledge? I mean, the thing is affecting us. How are we so ignorant of it?
In a country when we get used to a particular item, it's very hard to let it go of. Very, very hard to let it go of. And moreover, for it to go off, then we need a conscious effort from the policymakers and also the enforcers, so that whatever we have, we'll let it go. Because plastic came in plastic came in because we were saying that using our local material, especially leaves for wache and all those things, were not too hygienic, and plastic is the best. So even if you bought wache in leaves, you were mocked at. But now we've realized that no, wache is more biodegradable. The leaves is more biodegradable than the use of the plastic. Plastic has got a lot of effect, especially on the life forms within our environment, which I think ignorantly most Ghanaians don't know.
Let's talk about at least one of those life forms, aquatic life. In general, I mean, what is the real effect of our use of plastic on our aquatic life?
Yeah, in terms of that, we're looking at the distribution of parasites and pathogens. Floating plastics tends to enhance or contribute to the distribution of parasites. So movement of parasites from one endemic zone to the other definitely will affect the aquatic life forms. Then most aquatic life forms also see the plastics as food. So in this case, plastics are not digestible. Therefore, eating a lot of plastic, taking a lot of plastic may lead to their extinction and their death. And some get even entangled within the life forms, within the plastics.
Yeah.
So these are some of the areas that affects the aquatic life forms.
Right. Yeah. I want to bring in Emmanuel Quist at this point because, at Blochem, you are actually, if I may say so, implementing some of the things that might be the solution to this problem. Talk us through some of those.
Hi, Kojo. Thank you very much for the opportunity. So I'd like to clarify where I'm coming from, my company. So there are two sister companies. Okay, so Blow Plastics is a purely plastics manufacturing company, and then Blochem is a food and beverage manufacturer. So Bell Beverage.
Well, Emmanuel, if I may, can you please move away from the radio or perhaps switch it off and just listen to us on the phone? Hello, Emmanuel.
Specifically,
Emmanuel, can you hear us? Hello. Hello? Right, we'll have to reconnect with Emmanuel. The line is not great. But we also have Richmond Kennedy Quarcoo of Plastic Punch. So, look, the conversations about solutions are so varied, and it would appear the ultimate solution would be to just completely ban the use of single use plastics. But that seems to be, a difficult thing to implement, maybe more of a long-term solution. What can we do now? What can we do now to at least stem the tide of the effects that our misuse of plastic is having on our bodies and our environment? Do we have Richmond Kwaku?
Hi, Kojo. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And thanks so much for having this very important discussion. One which, of course, is very pertinent to the future of the nation and for the future generation. The problem with plastic and its solution comes in different variables. And from where we stand at Plastic Punch, we believe that reduction is the way to go. We place specific emphasis on reduction whilst we enhance other things like recycling. So for solutions, I would want to say it in different folds. First of all, the individual solution. A lot of celebration has been made by Dr. Nyarko, by Lydia. We've had all the effects that plastic has on humans. And when we reduce, doing simple things like we used to do, growing up in Ghana 20 years ago, when you go to the market, you go with a basket. When you go to get food, I remember always going with a bowl. Going for cocoa, I remember always going with a flask. This was not producing any plastic or any waste in the thing. Some years later, what happened? When they used to go to get cocoa, wache, food, they take it in plastic. No one takes the bowl from the home. We don't take bags, reusable bags or baskets. Now, what happens is this is affecting our health. The baseline, which we mostly forget, is that these plastics are from a hydrocarbon base. They are a byproduct of fossil fuel. So when you have this plastic and you have a benquine inside or you have water inside, all these chemicals with the heat are leaching into what you are eating, going to cause a lot of potential health threats. So beyond polluting the environment, we are killing ourselves. Some of which we do not know yet what the effects will be. But definitely we know there will be some variations of cancer, infertility, and other traits that scientists are finding out more. So, reduction, that's the first solution. In our home, things start with that. When we go to get food, go with a reusable bowl, go with your own reusable bag. When you get the food, you wash the bowl. And then you use it the next time. It is estimated, social scientists say that carrying a reusable bag alone will help you reduce 10,000 pieces of single-use plastic. That's that black rubber bag that we carry in a year. So just by taking action, by getting a reusable bag, you are reducing that black polythene bags that you would have been taking from the market. That would contribute to polluting the ocean, where our fish are posed. In communities that we serve also at Plastic Punch, will not get fishes. I catch them up plastic that fishes. Go to Pram, go to Ada, go to Dansoman, go to Papa, go to Jamestown. This is supposed to be happening by the UN, according to the UN, by the 2050s. But we see this already. It's scary. Companies, what can companies do? And this is where, with the national stakeholder, national direction, we have the GIPA, the Ghana National Action Partnership, where there's a discussion there strongly for which Plastic Punch is also advocating for extended producer responsibility regime. When this direction comes to become policy, hopefully by December 2023, companies or plastic manufacturers would be held more responsible, not only for the product that they sell to us, but the full life cycle of the product. That will mean that if I find a company's brand empty bottles somewhere on the beach or in a gutter, it's for them. It's their responsibility, and then they would be held liable for those products. That is also one of the ways, and that is one of the discussions right now, for which Plastic Punch is part of the policy task force, and we are having a very multi-stakeholder approach. And I want to use this opportunity again to tell the companies, please, it's about time we become human around all these. People are losing livelihoods. We are making a lot of profit. We are making so much profit already. People are losing livelihoods. People are losing ancient sources of livelihood. 60% of the coastline of Ghana are fisher folks. And it's devastating what is happening. They need to be human around it when it comes to this discussion around extended producer responsibility. And also find alternatives to some of their products. Because, of course, some of these products can go back to glasses. We used to use glasses and we used to reuse them. Some companies are still doing that. Some alcoholic beverages still do that. You get a bottle, you take it back and then you get it. Why can't we go back to this system? Why can't we sankofa? So, to solve this, we need to meet each other at different points. And, of course, we need a lot of investment into academia where there will be a lot of research and development, where we try to find alternatives to these plastics. Like what we have started doing at Plastic Punch, we're seeking to develop products that would look and feel like plastic, but from vegetable fiber, mostly from the post-harvest loss we find here in Ghana. So we started looking at fibers like coconut fiber, we're looking at sugarcane, we're looking at maize, we're looking at hemp, and we're looking at algae. We're looking at the possibility of different fibers that we can find over here in Ghana with collaboration with the University of California in San Diego and ISTOM in France. And these are the directions we should go. But of course, research and development also is very capital intensive, and we need a lot of support in this way. Government, of course, is the leader in this, in setting the policy direction. We need to, as much as possible, start banning some of the problematic plastics. Some of the plastics cannot be recycled. Some of them are just useless. We use them for 5 minutes and they stay here for 400 years, 500 years. They cannot be recycled. Nothing can be done to them. They destroy our health, and there's no need for them to be around in the environment. So this is my few points for now on the way and the direction. And really, we all have a role to play. We all have a role to play from all of us at home, me and you citizens, from segregation to reduction. We really believe in reduction because then when you reduce and you don't even create it, you don't create the waste. Okay. Then there's no point of managing
you made that
it.
point. Yeah, thank you. I want to bring in Prof. Tell us. It looks bad already, but if things continue as they are, no reduction, no ban, nothing. If everything continues as it is, how much worse can the situation get?
Yeah. Thanks very much. Very, very well. From the studies we are conducting right now, various aquatic life forms and the dependent are being extinct or dying because of they preying on plastics. So in this regard, then the other form, there are other benefits or other people that depends on the ocean, especially the fisher folks. In this regard, poverty would increase if the aquatic life form reduces. Poverty would definitely will increase, and also nutrition would also be a problem for those people that rely on the aquatic life form for their nutrients. So in this regard, it's going to be worse. You have a lot of plastics, a lot of efforts you put in a lot of efforts in order to catch fish, especially those with a big fin. They would catch about 90% plastics, 10% fish. So the whole day is wasted. And we know that about 80% of marine litter are plastics.
Yeah.
80% are plastics. So in this regard, if it increases, it will definitely affect all the aquatic life form and all those who depend on the aquatic life form for their livelihood.
Now, Richmond, I mean, you sit, on the committee that has been looking into this and studying the situation. Tell me, why is a ban such a difficult conversation? I mean, even you are advocating reduction. Why would a ban be so difficult?
That's a very good question, and thanks for the question. Plastic, like we said, has a fossil fuel base. So all these oil companies, they have a very strong muscle financially to lobby and corrupt people. For example, you have an organization in Ghana over here which is set out to make sure that there's no ban on plastic. And that's what they are set out to do, which is a collection of private companies. So there's a big interest because people are making money from this same product, which is destroying the environment. And then people who are making this money will sell lies to us. They make us think that this product is so good and go and lobby so that these laws are not passed. But, however, with this Ghana Plastic Action Partnership that we have, where we have all stakeholders in a room and using a scientific process to identify what are the problematic plastics, and also with the leadership of the Ministry of Environment, I believe, unlike in previous years where there were instructions to ban plastic under 0.05 microns, and that was not done, we want to believe that this time around, with all these stakeholders on board and with the World Economic Forum and everyone, all partners behind, when these plastics are identified, we hope that these are enforced so that all these plastics are flushed out of the system.
Right. Okay. I want to say a big thank you to both of you. Professor Kofi Nyarko, country lead for One Ocean Hub. It's a research project on plastic waste management. Richmond Kennedy Quarcoo, who you just heard, is the director of Plastic Punch. He's a member of the Institute for Environment and Sanitation Studies Management Committee at the University of Ghana. Thank you both for your time with us. It's the Super Morning Show